The champagne flute Emerald Mattis had been holding hit the marble before she even realized she'd dropped it. She stood frozen in the doorway of her own bedroom, staring at her fiancé, the man she was supposed to marry in 7 days, tangled in the silk sheets with her sister. Her bed. The silk sheets she'd chosen herself. The room still carrying the faint trace of her perfume from that morning. Candace's hands were on him. Too familiar. Too certain. Something inside her chest cracked. Not loudly. Not cleanly. Trey's head snapped toward the sound. For one terrible moment, their eyes locked. He didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. "Emmy," he rolled off Candace with practiced ease, reaching for his discarded pants. "Baby, this isn't." "Don't." The word came out sharp as broken glass. Emmy's hand trembled against the doorframe, her engagement ring catching the afternoon light streaming through the windows of her Gold Coast penthouse. "Don't you dare." Candace sat up, pulling the sheet around her naked body with theatrical modesty. Her sister. Her baby sister, who Emmy had protected and supported. "Emmy, you have to understand. Trey and I, we have a connection." The laugh that escaped Emmy's throat sounded foreign to her own ears, brittle, dangerous. "A connection? How long?" 6 months, Trey said, buttoning his pants with infuriating calm. He was beautiful, classically handsome with his politician's smile and tailored suits, but Emmy suddenly saw him clearly for the first time. Weak. Calculating. Empty. 6 months. While she'd been building his campaign image, crafting his political brand, making him palatable to Chicago's elite. While she'd introduced him to every influential family in the city, including her own. "Get out." Emmy stepped back from the doorway, her kitten heels clicking against hardwood. "Both of you. Now." "Emmy, we need to talk about this like adults." Trey's voice took on that patronizing tone he used when she disagreed with him. "You're being emotional." "I said get the fuck out of my apartment." Something in her voice made him move. Good. Emmy Mattis might have been born soft-hearted and romantic, might have been raised to smile and smooth over conflicts, but she clawed her way to the top of Chicago's cutthroat PR world by learning when to bite back. She watched them dress in silence, Candace's eyes brimming with crocodile tears, Trey's jaw tight with barely contained irritation. When the door finally closed behind them, Emmy walked to her bathroom on numb legs and vomited until there was nothing left. 3 hours later, Emmy sat at her desk in the guest bedroom she converted into a home office, her laptop screen blurring as she scrolled through financial records. She'd needed something to do with her shaking hands, some way to channel the chaos screaming through her veins, so she'd started reviewing the quarterly reports for Mattis Communications, her PR firm, her pride, her everything. The numbers didn't make sense. Emmy blinked, rubbed her burning eyes, and looked again. Large payments routed through shell companies. Deposits that didn't match any clients on record. Withdrawals coded as consulting fees that she'd never approved. Her stomach dropped. She pulled up Trey's campaign files, the ones she'd personally managed for his city council run. Cross-referenced the dates. The amounts. The suspicious transfers lined up perfectly with major campaign donations that should have been transparent, legal, documented. "Oh God." Emmy's whispered words echoed in the silent room. Trey hadn't just betrayed her personally. He'd used her firm, her reputation, her family's name, to launder political bribes. And she had the paper trail to prove it. Her phone buzzed. "Trey. We need to talk. Tonight. The Red Bridge, 9 p.m. Come alone." Emmy's hands trembled as she forwarded every suspicious document to her personal encrypted cloud storage. Then she deleted the evidence from her work servers, dressed in her armor, a black Givenchy suit that made her curves look powerful instead of soft, and headed to the hotel. Trey was waiting in a private suite, whiskey in hand, looking every inch the concerned politician. "Emmy. Thank you for coming." "Cut the shit, Trey." She dropped her clutch on the coffee table, crossed her arms over her chest. "I know what you've been doing with my firm." His expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. "I have no idea what you're talking about." "Political bribes. Laundered through my shell companies. Donations that violate every campaign finance law on the books." Emmy stepped closer, fury overriding fear. "I have the documents. I have proof. And I'm going to." "Going to what?" Trey set down his glass with deliberate precision. Expose me? Destroy your own firm in the process? Ruin your family's reputation? I'll find a way to. You'll find a way to nothing. His voice turned to ice. Because here's what's going to happen, Emmy. If you say one word, to the press, to the authorities, to anyone, I'll leak a very convincing paper trail showing you masterminded the entire operation. Your signature. Your company's. Your access. Emmy's blood turned cold. I would never. Who's going to believe that? The ambitious black PR executive who built an empire before 30? The daughter of Chicago's most influential political family. Trey moved closer, and Emmy forced herself not to step back. I've been very careful, sweetheart. Every document points to you. I'm just the naive candidate who trusted his fiancée to handle his campaign finances. You son of a bitch. I'll destroy you, Trey continued, his handsome face twisted with ugly satisfaction. Your career. Your firm. Your family's legacy. Everything you've built will burn. And there's nothing you can do about it. Emmy stared at the man she'd almost married, the man she'd loved, or thought she'd loved, and felt something inside her turn to steel. Get away from me. Emmy. I said get the fuck away from me. She grabbed her clutch and walked out with her head high, even though her hands were shaking so hard she could barely press the elevator button. She made it to the lobby before the tears came. She was fucked. Completely out of options. And she had no idea what to do about it. The Chicago Political Foundation's annual gala was the last place Emmy wanted to be 3 days later, but showing weakness meant death in her world. So she painted on red lipstick, poured her curves into a champagne silk gown, and walked into the Four Seasons ballroom like she owned it. Emmy. Darling. Various acquaintances air-kissed her cheeks, asked about the engagement party, made sympathetic noises when she claimed Trey had food poisoning. She smiled. Laughed at the right moments. Died a little inside with each interaction. She was escaping to the terrace for air when a voice stopped her cold. Miss Mattis. Emmy turned. The man standing behind her was devastating. Tall, well over 6 feet, with shoulders that strained against his perfectly tailored Armani tuxedo. Black hair styled back from a face all sharp lines and lethal calm. Sharp jaw, high cheekbones, full lips that should have softened his features but somehow made him more dangerous. His eyes were dark, intense, tracking her with predatory focus. But it was the tattoos that made her breath catch. Intricate black ink crawled up his neck from beneath his collar, traditional geometric patterns mixed with something darker, more lethal. His hands, emerging from crisp white cuffs, were decorated with more ink that disappeared under his sleeves. He looked like sin wrapped in silk. Like danger dressed in Armani. Like everything her mother had warned her about. I'm sorry, have we met? Emmy managed, though her voice came out breathier than she'd intended. Seo Sung-min. His English was perfect, barely accented, his voice low and smooth as aged whiskey. He extended one tattooed hand. We haven't been formally introduced, though I've been aware of your situation. Emmy shook his hand, his grip was warm, controlled, confident, and felt electricity shoot up her arm. My situation? Trey Gate. Sung-min released her hand slowly, his dark eyes never leaving her face. Your former fiancé. The affair with your sister. The political bribes he laundered through your firm. The threats he made at the Red Bridge 3 nights ago. The blood drained from Emmy's face. How do you? I know everything, Miss Mattis. He stepped closer, and Emmy caught his scent, expensive cologne mixed with something darker, more masculine. I know you're being blackmailed. I know you can't expose him without destroying yourself. I know you're running out of options. Emmy's heart hammered against her ribs. She should walk away. Run. This man radiated danger like other men radiated cologne. But something in his eyes, a cold intelligence, a predatory patience, made her stay. What do you want? To help you. Sung-min's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Trey Gate has been stealing from my organization. Using your firm to cover his tracks while he funnels money to my competitors. He needs to be removed from the board. Your organization. Emmy's throat felt dry. I control Chicago's underground political funding networks. He said it the way other men might discuss their golf handicap. Matter of fact. Undeniable. Your fiancé has been playing a very dangerous game. And you, Miss Mattis, have been an unwitting pawn. I'm nobody's pawn. No. Sungmin's eyes gleamed. You're not. Which is why I'm proposing an alliance. You use your PR brilliance to destroy Trey's reputation. I use my resources to gather the evidence you need and apply pressure where necessary. Together, we bury him so completely he'll never threaten you again. Emmy stared at this beautiful, dangerous man offering her exactly what she wanted on a silver platter. Why would you help me? Because Treygate needs to be eliminated, and you're the perfect weapon to do it. Sungmin leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper that seemed to slide along her skin. And because something tells me, Miss Mattis, that you're far more lethal than anyone gives you credit for. Emmy should refuse. Should walk away from this gorgeous stranger who radiated danger and commanded the city's criminal underworld. Should protect herself, play it safe, find another way. Instead, she met his dark gaze and whispered, "What do you need me to do?" Sungmin's smile was sharp as a knife. Everything. The War Room was a penthouse suite in a building Sungmin owned in River North, all glass walls overlooking the Chicago skyline, minimalist furniture, and tech that could have paid off Emmy's student loans in one swipe. She sat at a chrome conference table while Sungmin's men spread financial documents across the surface like cards in a deadly game. Your firm was the perfect cover, Sungmin explained, standing at the windows with his hands in his pockets. Even in casual dress, black pants, black shirt with the sleeves rolled up to reveal more of his tattoos, he looked devastating. Legitimate business. Respected family name. Access to every political player in Chicago. Emmy forced herself to focus on the documents instead of the way his forearms flexed when he gestured. So Trey deliberately targeted me. 6 months ago, a rival organization decided they wanted control of the city's political funding. They needed someone connected, respected, and... Sungmin turned, his dark eyes finding hers, trusting enough to be manipulated. The word stung, but Emmy couldn't deny it. She'd been so desperate to be loved, to build the perfect life, that she'd missed every red flag. My sister. Insurance. If you grew suspicious, her betrayal would keep you emotionally destabilized. Too hurt to think clearly. Well, it worked. Emmy pushed back from the table, paced to the windows. The city sprawled below them, glittering and ruthless. So what's our play? You're going to do what you do best. Sungmin moved beside her, close enough that she felt his heat, smelled that intoxicating scent of his. Craft a narrative. Treygate, the ambitious politician with secrets. Start small. Leaked rumors. Strategic questions. Make the press hungry. And you. I'll feed you the proof. Financial records. Witness testimonies. Everything you need to destroy him piece by piece. His voice was soft, controlled, lethal. But we have to be careful. If he realizes we're working together before we're ready to strike, he'll burn everything down. Emmy turned to face him, tilting her head back to meet his eyes. He was so tall, so powerfully built, and standing this close made her dizzy. This is insane. I'm a PR executive, not a what? Sungmin's hand came up, his tattooed fingers brushing a stray curl from her face. The touch was gentle, controlled, and it made every nerve ending in Emmy's body light up. You're brilliant, Emmy. Ruthless when you need to be. You've been playing nice in a world that doesn't deserve your kindness. Let me show you what you're really capable of. Emmy's breath caught. The way he said her name, Emmy, not Miss Mattis, felt intimate. Dangerous. Okay, she whispered. Let's burn him down. Over the next 2 weeks, they became a lethal team. Emmy worked her PR magic, planting seeds of doubt about Trey in carefully chosen ears. A mention of financial irregularities to a curious reporter. A concerned question about campaign funding to a political blogger. Strategic silence when asked about the postponed engagement party. Sungmin's network gathered evidence like a closing net. Bank statements. Recorded phone calls. Security footage of Trey meeting with known criminals. Everything Emmy needed, delivered to encrypted drives and anonymous tips. They met every night to strategize, sometimes at the River North penthouse, sometimes at Emmy's office after her staff went home, once at a private room in a Korean restaurant where Sung-min watched her eat japchae and looked at her like he wanted to devour her whole. The chemistry was impossible to ignore. The way his eyes tracked her when she paced while thinking. The careful distance he maintained, like he didn't trust himself to get too close. The rare smiles when she said something sharp or clever. The protective edge in his voice when discussing Trey's threats. "You should eat," Sung-min said one night at midnight, pushing takeout containers across her desk. They'd been working for 6 hours straight, and Emmy's eyes burned with exhaustion. "I'm fine. Emmy." His voice held gentle command. "Eat." She picked up chopsticks with shaking hands, too tired to argue. "You're very bossy. You're very stubborn." But there was warmth in his tone, something almost fond. He watched her eat in silence, and Emmy tried not to think about how domestic it felt. "How right. Can I ask you something?" she said finally. "Always." "Why do you do this?" "The underground funding, the political control." Emmy set down her chopsticks, studied his beautiful, dangerous face. "You could do anything. Be anyone." Sung-min was quiet for a long moment. "Chicago's political machine is corrupt. Money flows to whoever pays the most, regardless of who gets hurt. I decided if someone was going to control that machine, it should be someone with principles." "You're a crime boss with principles?" "I'm a businessman who plays by different rules." He leaned back in his chair, his dark eyes unreadable. "I don't deal drugs. I don't traffic people. I don't hurt innocents. I fund politicians who will actually help this city, and I make sure the money goes where it should." A noble criminal. A practical one. Sung-min's lips curved slightly. "And you, Emmy? Why PR? Why build an empire in such a cutthroat world?" "Because I wanted to matter." The honesty surprised her. "I'm the eldest daughter in a family of powerhouses. My father's a judge. My mother runs the largest charity foundation in Illinois. My brothers are both in politics. I needed to carve out something that was mine." "You matter," Sung-min said quietly, and the certainty in his voice made Emmy's chest ache. "Trust me." Their eyes held, and Emmy felt the air between them charge with something electric, inevitable. Sung-min stood abruptly, turning toward the windows. "It's late. I should go." He always did this, pulled away when things got too intense. Emmy should be grateful. Should appreciate the professional distance. Instead, she felt frustrated, wanting. "Sung-min. I'll see you tomorrow." He was already moving toward the door, his control absolute. "Lock up after me." Then he was gone, and Emmy was left alone with her racing heart and the takeout he'd made sure she ate. The first public crack in Trey's armor appeared exactly 2 weeks and 3 days after her world imploded. A junior reporter published a piece questioning irregularities in his campaign finances. Nothing major, just enough to make other journalists curious. Emmy watched the story spread on social media while sitting in Sung-min's penthouse, her laptop balanced on her knees. "It's working," she said. Sung-min stood at his usual spot by the windows, phone in hand as he coordinated his network. "Phase 1 complete. Now we escalate." But Emmy barely heard him. Her own phone was buzzing with a call from her mother. "I have to take this." She stood, moved to the terrace for privacy. "Mom." Emerald Louise Mattis. Her mother's voice was ice. "What is this I'm hearing about illegal campaign donations?" Emmy's stomach dropped. "What?" "There's an investigation into your firm. The Illinois Campaign Finance Board. They're saying you set up shell companies to funnel illegal donations to Trey's campaign." "That's not, Mom, I would never." "Then how do you explain the documents they have? With your signature? Your company's?" Her mother's disappointment cut deeper than any knife. "Emmy, what have you done?" "Nothing. Trey did this, he's setting me up." "Trey showed me the evidence, sweetheart. He's very concerned about you. He thinks you might have gotten in over your head trying to help his campaign." The betrayal hit Emmy like a physical blow. Trey had gotten to her mother first. Painted himself as the worried fiancé, Emmy as the overeager girlfriend who'd committed crimes trying to help. "Mom, please, you have to believe me." I want to, baby. But the evidence. Her mother sighed. We'll talk tomorrow. Your father wants to see you. The call ended. Emmy stood on the terrace, gripping the railing with white knuckles, feeling everything she'd built crumbling around her. Her firm. Her reputation. Her family's trust. Strong hands settled on her shoulders. Emmy. Sungmin's voice was quiet, controlled, but she heard the fury underneath. Tell me. She told him everything through tears she couldn't stop. Trey's preemptive strike. Her mother's doubt. The investigation. The evidence pointing at her. When she finished, Sungmin turned her around, his hands cupping her face with devastating gentleness. His dark eyes blazed with cold rage. He's finished. Sungmin. No one touches you. His thumbs brushed away her tears, the gesture tender despite the violence in his voice. No one threatens what's mine. Emmy's breath caught. I'm not. Yes. He leaned closer, his forehead nearly touching hers. You are. From the moment you agreed to this alliance. You became mine to protect. Mine to defend. And I will burn down everyone who tries to hurt you. The possessiveness should have scared her. Instead, it made Emmy feel safe for the first time in weeks. What do we do? You're staying here. Sungmin released her face but kept one hand on her waist, guiding her back inside. In my penthouse. Under my protection. No arguments. I can't just. Emmy. He turned her to face him, and the intensity in his eyes stole her breath. They're targeting you. Trey, his backers, everyone invested in keeping you silent. You're not safe in your apartment. You're not safe anywhere except with me. Emmy knew she should refuse. Should maintain some distance, some independence. But she was tired of fighting alone. Tired of being afraid. Okay, she whispered. Sungmin's expression softened fractionally. I'll have your things brought over tomorrow. Tonight, you rest. He led her to a guest room that was bigger than her entire apartment, all cream silk and soft lighting and a bed that looked like a cloud. Emmy stood in the doorway, suddenly aware that she was moving into a dangerous man's home, putting herself completely in his power. Emmy. Sungmin tilted her chin up with one tattooed finger. You're safe here. I promise you that. I know. And shockingly, she did. He left her with that promise and a lingering touch, and Emmy fell asleep in silk sheets that smelled like him, feeling more protected than she had in her entire life. Living with Sungmin was torture. Beautiful, exquisite torture. They fell into a rhythm over the next week. Emmy worked from his penthouse during the day, managing the chaos at her firm while Sungmin coordinated his network. He'd disappear for hours to handle business she didn't ask about, then return and find her in his office, surrounding her with his presence while she strategized. The domesticity of it made Emmy's chest ache. Morning coffee he brought her without asking how she liked it, 2 sugars, splash of cream. Takeout dinners where they debated strategy and traded sharp observations. Late nights when she'd fall asleep on his couch reviewing documents and wake up in her bed, tucked in carefully, Sungmin's scent on the blankets. He was taking care of her. Protecting her. And the way he looked at her, like she was precious and powerful in equal measure, made Emmy feel things that were absolutely inappropriate for their professional alliance. We have a problem, Sungmin said one evening, his jaw tight as he reviewed something on his tablet. Emmy looked up from her laptop. What kind of problem? The investigation into your firm? It's not just Trey covering his tracks. Sungmin turned the tablet toward her, showing financial records she didn't recognize. He's being funded by the Red Serpent Syndicate. They're a rival organization that's been trying to muscle into Chicago's political funding networks for years. Emmy's blood ran cold. They're using him to take you down? And you were the perfect weapon. Sungmin's voice was carefully controlled, but Emmy saw the fury in his eyes. Discredit your firm, turn you into a criminal, all while making me look weak for not protecting my own interests. So this whole thing, the affair, the bribes, everything, it was all a setup? You weren't just collateral damage, Emmy. You were the target. Sungmin stood, paced to the windows. The sunset painted him in gold and shadow, highlighting the dangerous beauty of him. They wanted to hurt me by destroying you. The implication hit Emmy like a freight train. Why would destroying me hurt you? We didn't even know each other 6 months ago. Sungmin was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was low, rough. I've been aware of you for 2 years, Emmy. Since you represented Senator Williams during that corruption scandal and managed to save his career with nothing but brilliant strategy and vicious determination. He turned, and the intensity in his dark eyes made Emmy's breath catch. I've watched you build an empire. Watched you navigate Chicago's elite with grace and steel. Watched you become untouchable. So you knew me? I knew of you. Sungmin moved closer, predatory and controlled. And when rumors started circulating 6 months ago that someone was targeting your PR firm, I investigated. Found Trey. Found the Red Serpents. Found their whole operation. Why didn't you warn me? Would you have believed me? His lips curved bitterly. A mafia boss approaching a respected PR executive with conspiracy theories about her fiancé? You would have thought I was trying to manipulate you. He was right. Emmy would have dismissed him as crazy or dangerous or both. So you waited, she said slowly, until I had no choice but to trust you. I waited until you needed an ally more than you feared my reputation. Sungmin stopped in front of her, close enough that Emmy had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. And I've spent every moment since then trying not to cross lines that can't be uncrossed. What lines? His hand came up, cupping her face with that devastating gentleness. The ones that would make this about something other than revenge. Emmy's heart hammered. And if I want to cross those lines? Emmy. You said I was yours to protect. She stood pressing closer, emboldened by the hunger she saw in his eyes. What if I want to be yours in other ways? Sungmin's control cracked. His other hand gripped her waist, pulled her against his hard body, and Emmy gasped at the contact. Every inch of him was muscle and heat and barely restrained power. You don't want this, he said roughly, even as his thumb brushed her lower lip. You don't want me. Yes, I do. Emmy's hand slid up his chest, felt his heart pounding as hard as hers. I want you, Sungmin. I want. His phone buzzed. Then again. And again. Sungmin pulled back with a vicious curse, grabbing his phone. His expression turned deadly. Get your coat. What? They tried to kidnap your sister. My men stopped them, but the message is clear. His dark eyes blazed with cold fury. They're escalating. And they're targeting everyone you love. The safe house where Sungmin's men had taken Candace was industrial and sterile. Emmy's sister sat on a couch, wrapped in a blanket, crying hysterically while 2 stone-faced men in black suits stood guard. Emmy. Candace lunged for her, and Emmy caught her sister on instinct, even though part of her wanted to push away. Oh my God, these men just grabbed me off the street. They saved you, Sungmin corrected coldly. He spoke to his men in Korean, his voice sharp with command, then turned back to Emmy. She's safe. They'll keep her here until we've eliminated the threat. Eliminated the. Candace's tear-stained face turned to Emmy. What is happening? Who is this man? Someone trying to help. Emmy gently extracted herself from her sister's grip. Candace, you need to stay here. Don't leave. Don't call anyone. Just stay safe. Are you in trouble? Is this about Trey? Emmy laughed bitterly. Trey used both of us. The affair? He probably orchestrated it to keep me distracted while he destroyed my firm. Candace's face crumpled. Emmy, I'm so sorry. I never meant. We'll talk later. Emmy couldn't handle this right now. Couldn't process her sister's betrayal on top of everything else. Just stay here. Back in Sungmin's car, a sleek black Mercedes, she finally let herself shake. My sister, she whispered. They tried to take my sister. They were sending a message. Sungmin's hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel. That they can reach anyone you care about. That nowhere is safe. So what do? We end this. He pulled into the underground parking of his building, killed the engine. Tomorrow night, there's a fundraising gala. Trey will be there. The Red Serpent's American liaison will be there. We're going to expose them all in front of Chicago's entire political elite. Emmy turned to look at him, this beautiful dangerous man who'd taken over her life. That's suicide. They'll have security, lawyers, connections. They'll have nothing. Sungmin's smile was sharp and cold. Because I have evidence of every crime they've committed. Every bribe. Every threat. Every illegal deal. And you're going to deliver it in the most devastating PR takedown of your career. Sungmin. Trust me, Emmy. He reached across the console, took her hand. His tattoos seemed to move in the dim light, predatory and beautiful. One more night. And then you're free. Emmy squeezed his hand, felt the controlled strength in his grip. Why are you doing this? Really? His dark eyes found hers, and the vulnerability she saw there made her chest ache. Because I can't let them touch what's mine. The plan was set. Emmy would attend the gala, give a scheduled speech about ethics in political PR, and systematically destroy Trey and his backers using nothing but facts and devastating delivery. Sungmin would be in the room, his men positioned throughout the venue, ready to grab anyone who tried to run. It was brilliant. Terrifying. Emmy stood in Sungmin's bedroom the night before the gala, trying on the dress he'd had delivered, a red silk gown that hugged every curve and made her look powerful, untouchable. She was examining herself in the mirror when Sungmin appeared in the doorway. His sharp inhale made her turn. You're staring, she said, trying for light despite her racing heart. You're devastating. Sungmin moved into the room, his eyes tracking over her like a physical touch. Emmy, tomorrow. Tomorrow we end this. Tomorrow everything changes. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she felt his heat. After tomorrow, you're free. Free to rebuild your firm. Free to clear your name. Free to live your life without looking over your shoulder. And you? Emmy tilted her head back, studied his beautiful face. What happens to you? I go back to my world. And you go back to yours. The thought made Emmy's chest ache. What if I don't want that? Emmy. What if I want to stay in your world? She stepped closer, pressed her palms to his chest. What if I choose you? You don't know what you're saying. But his hands came up to grip her waist, holding her like he couldn't help himself. I'm dangerous, Emmy. Everyone around me becomes a target. You deserve better than that. I deserve a man who protects me like I matter. Who sees me as an equal. Who makes me feel powerful and safe in the same breath. Emmy rose on her toes, her lips a whisper from his. I deserve you. He didn't rush her. That alone unsettled her more than anything else. Sungmin stood close enough that she could feel the heat of him without being touched, close enough that her pulse responded before her mind caught up. His gaze moved over her slowly, not consuming, not claiming, as if he were taking inventory of her breathing, her resolve, the choice she was still making. You don't owe me this, he said quietly. She lifted her chin. I know. That was when he reached for her. His hand settled at her waist, firm and steady, not pulling her closer so much as inviting her to close the distance herself. She did, the decision sharp and deliberate, and felt the tension ease from his shoulders the moment she moved. When he kissed her, it wasn't hurried. It wasn't hungry. It was controlled, intentional, the kind of kiss that made her aware of every second passing, every breath she took. She answered without hesitation, fingers curling into his jacket, grounding herself as his presence surrounded her. They moved together slowly, learning each other in quiet increments, his forehead resting briefly against hers, her breath caught between them, the world narrowing until there was only warmth and certainty and the unmistakable sense of being chosen, not taken. He guided her down with care, staying close, attentive, as if listening to something only he could hear. She felt him everywhere without needing to see or name it, his strength, his restraint, the way his body curved around hers like shelter instead of possession. When the room had gone quiet and her pulse had finally steadied, she found herself resting against him, her cheek over his heart. It was calm there. Not conquered. Not owned. Safe, because she had chosen it. And because he had waited until she did. Later, tangled together in the darkness, Sungmin pressed a kiss to her shoulder. After tomorrow, he murmured, when you're safe, you can leave. Return to your world. No obligations. Emmy turned in his arms, cupped his beautiful face. What if I don't want to leave? His expression turned vulnerable, hopeful, terrified. Then you stay. And we face whatever comes next together. Together, Emmy whispered, and sealed the promise with a kiss. The Chicago Renaissance Hotel ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and the city's most powerful elite. Emmy stood backstage in her red dress, her heart hammering, while Sung-min adjusted his tuxedo in the shadows beside her. You remember the plan? His voice was low, controlled, but she heard the tension underneath. I give the speech. Drop the evidence. Watch them scramble. Emmy took a shaky breath. Your men grab anyone who runs. And I keep you safe. Sung-min's tattooed hand found hers, squeezed gently. No matter what happens, Emmy, you walk out of here untouched. We both do. His smile was sharp. Yes, we both do. Emmy's name was called. She stepped onto the stage to polite applause, aware of Trey sitting at a front table, looking smug and handsome and utterly confident. The Red Serpent's liaison, a distinguished older man named Li Wei, sat beside him. They had no idea what was coming. Good evening, Emmy began, her voice clear and strong. I'm honored to speak about ethics in political PR, a topic that's deeply personal to me. She launched into her speech, each word carefully crafted to build tension. She talked about trust, about manipulation, about powerful men who used others as pawns. Then she went for the throat. 3 weeks ago, I discovered my firm was being used to launder political bribes. Emmy's voice turned to ice. By my own fiancé, Trey Gate, on behalf of an international criminal organization. The ballroom erupted. Trey stood, his face flushing red. This is insane. Is it? Emmy pulled out a remote, clicked. The screens behind her lit up with financial records, bank statements, recorded phone calls. Because I have evidence of every illegal transaction, every bribe, every threat. She turned to Trey, her smile sharp. Including the recording of you threatening to destroy me if I exposed you. Trey's audio played through the speakers. His voice. His threats. His admission of the entire scheme. The room went silent. You set me up, Trey snarled, lunging toward the stage. Sung-min materialized from the shadows, his hand catching Trey's shoulder in a grip that made the other man cry out. I wouldn't, Sung-min said quietly, his voice carrying unmistakable warning. Security swarmed. Police, real police, not ones in Trey's pocket, moved in to arrest Trey and Li Wei. Emmy watched it all unfold with grim satisfaction, aware of Sung-min's men positioned throughout the room, ensuring no one escaped. It was over. Finally, blessedly over. The aftermath was chaos. Investigations. Media coverage. Emmy's firm exonerated. The Red Serpent's entire Chicago operation dismantled. Trey arrested on multiple charges. Li Wei deported. Emmy's family apologized. Her mother cried. Her father promised to never doubt her again. Candace moved to New York, unable to face Emmy after everything. And through it all, Sung-min stood beside Emmy, silent and protective, his presence a constant reassurance. Until one morning, 3 weeks after the gala, when Emmy woke up alone in his penthouse. She found a note on his pillow. You're safe now. Your firm is rebuilding. Your reputation is restored. You don't need me anymore. You deserve a clean life, Emmy. Without the danger I bring. Be well. S. Emmy stared at the note with shaking hands, feeling something crack inside her chest. He'd left. Actually left. Because he thought she was better off without him. The idiot. Sung-min's headquarters was in a nondescript building in Bridgeport, industrial on the outside, sleek and modern inside. Emmy marched through the front entrance in her highest heels and most powerful suit, ignoring the startled expressions of his men. Where is he? She demanded. One of them, a man named Jean who'd helped protect her sister, pointed toward the stairs. 3rd floor. But Miss Mattis, he's in a meeting. Emmy was already moving. She found Sung-min in a conference room surrounded by his lieutenants, all of them armed and dangerous looking. Conversation stopped when she walked in. Out, Emmy said, her voice brooking no argument. The men looked at Sung-min. He stared at Emmy like she was a ghost, his expression carefully blank. Give us the room. They filed out silently. The door closed. Emmy. You left. She advanced on him, fury and hurt making her voice shake. We spent the night together. You promised we'd face things together. And then you left. I'm giving you a chance at a normal life. I don't want a normal life. Emmy planted her hands on his chest, shoved. He didn't budge, but his eyes widened. I want you. I want this. I want a life where we build something together. Emmy, I'm dangerous. Being with me means I'll always be protected. Always be valued. Always be seen as an equal. She cupped his face, made him look at her. You think I can just go back to my world and forget you? Forget how you made me feel? Forget that for the first time in my life, someone saw me as powerful instead of soft. Sungmin's hands came up to cover hers, his dark eyes blazing. You are powerful. That's why you deserve better than this. Better than me. You don't get to decide what I deserve. Emmy rose on her toes, pressed her forehead to his. I choose you, Sungmin. Not despite who you are. Because of who you are with me. Emmy. I love you, she said simply. I love your control. Your protection. Your darkness and your gentleness. I love the way you see me. The way you make me feel. I love you. And I'm not leaving. Sungmin's control shattered. He pulled her against him, buried his face in her neck. You're sure? Because once you're mine, Emmy, I'm never letting go. I'm already yours. She tangled her fingers in his hair. I have been since the moment you offered me an alliance. Now stop trying to protect me from yourself and just love me. I do. His voice was rough, honest. I love you. God, Emmy, I love you so much. He kissed her then, deep and claiming, and Emmy melted into him with a sigh of relief. This was home. This dangerous, beautiful man who saw her as both soft and strong, who protected her while respecting her power. So we're doing this? She whispered against his lips. Building something together? Yes. Sungmin's smile was fierce, possessive, utterly devoted. You rebuild your world. Let me build the rest with you. Deal. 1 year later. Emmy woke to coffee and morning light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Sungmin's penthouse, their penthouse now, overlooked the Chicago skyline, the city they'd learned to navigate together. You're awake. Sungmin appeared in the doorway, dressed in dark slacks and a white shirt, tattoos visible at his throat and wrists. He carried a mug of coffee prepared exactly how she liked it. Barely. Emmy accepted the coffee, smiled as he sat on the edge of the bed. What time is it? Early. But you have that meeting with the governor's office about his re-election campaign. Mattis Communications had become the most sought-after PR firm in Chicago. Emmy had rebuilt her reputation, expanded her staff, and now represented politicians, corporations, and influencers who wanted the best. Her family's legacy was stronger than ever. And Sungmin's political funding network had evolved into something more legitimate, more structured, more powerful. He still operated in the shadows, but now his money flowed into campaigns that actually helped the city. He'd become a kingmaker, feared, respected, untouchable. Together, they shaped Chicago's political landscape from different angles, a perfect partnership. You have that thing with your men at noon, Emmy said, sipping her coffee. The new territory arrangement? Already handled. Sungmin's hand slid over her hip, pulled her closer. I rearranged my schedule. Thought we could have lunch. Just us. Sungmin Seo, are you getting soft? His smile was sharp. Only for you. Emmy laughed, set down her coffee, and pulled him into a kiss. He responded instantly, his control giving way to the passion they'd learned to navigate together. When they finally broke apart, Emmy traced the dragon tattooed across his ribs. I love you, she said. I love you too. Sungmin caught her hand, pressed a kiss to the diamond ring on her finger. Not an engagement ring, a partnership ring. A symbol that they were equals, building something together. Always. Emmy's phone buzzed. Her mother, reminding her about Sunday dinner. The Mattis family had grudgingly accepted Sungmin after he'd proven his devotion to Emmy, and after her father had a very frank conversation about what would happen if he ever hurt her. Now her mother set an extra place at every family gathering, and her brothers traded market tips with him. Sungmin's men treated Emmy with respect bordering on reverence. They protected her like she was precious, opened doors, called her Mrs. Seo, even though they weren't married yet. They would be. Eventually. When they were ready. What are you thinking? Sungmin asked, reading her expression. That a year ago, I thought my life was over. Emmy cupped his face, marveled at the dangerous beauty of him. And now I have everything I never knew I wanted. You rebuilt your world. His thumb brushed her lower lip. Let me build the rest with you. You already are. Outside, Chicago woke to another day, powerful, ruthless, glittering with possibility. The city called them dangerous, influential, untouchable. They called it home. They called it love. They called it forever. And in each other's arms, Emmy and Sungmin had found something more valuable than power, more precious than revenge, more lasting than any empire. They'd found partnership, trust, a love forged in fire and sealed with blood and silk. And they would burn together, bright, beautiful, and utterly unbreakable.